Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter podcast. And today we're going to do the other half of our MLB video, which is reviewing the National League teams. We just did the American League. Now we're going to move on to the National League, and let's just get this started. As I still have NFL stuff to do, which is insane. There's just a lot of stuff I'm going to be doing today. Anyways. Um, we're moving on to the East, NL East. First team we have is the New York Mets, who have, I think, the best record in Major League Baseball right now at 16-7. Very good they've been very good on offense so far. At 108 runs scored, really good start from them offensively. Defensively, they've been pretty good too. No Jacob DeGrom from right now, but of course they do have now Max Scherzer, which is absurd. Paid a crap ton of money to get Scherzer, but they have been very good. Good start for the Mets. Really good to see this team, producing, especially like guys like Francisco Lindor, who were not playing well last year. Because this is a team that was very good defensively, but just had no offense to speak of. They're finally getting that offense back, it seems, and my gosh, have they been good. Really good start from New York Mets, though. Not really surprised to see them playing this well. Miami Marlins 12-9 to start the season. Really a bit of an interesting start for them as well. The Marlins been a bit surprised. 12-9. This is a team that's in the middle really of a rebuild. Selke Alcantara or Alcantara or however you pronounce the starting pitcher, but he's a good pitcher for the Marlins. But really a big surprise for the Marlins has been their second baseman. He also plays shortstop, but it's really been Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm for the Marlins has been awesome to start the year, and he has been absolutely incredible. You can see their offense has not been the greatest, but it's not been bad either. But their pitching has been pretty good, not giving up that many runs, honestly. Are right there with the Mets in runs against. So good start for the Marlins. Very impressed by their good play, and really Jazz Chisholm. I mean, if he can do what he's doing right now the entire season, the Miami Marlins are going to be very dangerous with that kind of hitting. Chisholm, a guy who hits for power and can steal bases. I mean that's a dangerous player right there. And if he ends up producing, watch out, because that's going to be an awesome player. Philadelphia Phillies right behind the Miami Marlins at 11-12. Right about 500 again. They have scored a lot of runs, but they also have not been able to stop everyone else. Their pitching has not played all that well. But the offense has been producing. You got guys like Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos. You also got Gene Segura, Alec Brom, I think is how you pronounce his name. But they have a lot of good hitters on that Phillies team. The pitching is just a little bit lacking. The bullpen ain't too shabby, but it's really just simply their starting pitching. Zach Wheeler was really good last year, and he has not really lived up to the hype so far this year. So for the Phillies, I mean, it's pretty much right where I would have expected, right about 500. It's pretty much where they were last year. It's going to depend on their pitching to help them, because they need their pitching to be able to keep them in games. So I think it's just going to matter about what they do with the pitching staff. Can the pitching staff keep it together? We'll find out. And then we have the defending champions, the Atlanta Braves, at 10-13. Not a great start for them. They do have finally Ronald Acuna back on offense, so that certainly should help them even more on the offensive end. But their pitching really has just not been. Their starting pitching really has not been good. I'm not gonna blame this on Kenley Jansen because who came from the LA Dodgers. Because his first start was his first game, his first appearance was actually very bad. He gave up 3 earned runs in his first appearance as an Atlanta Brave. But since that point, he hasn't given up a hit, an earned run, and he's only walked one guy, hasn't given up a hit, hasn't given up an earned run, and he's struck out like 9 in like 5 appearances. So I mean, he has had one bad appearance, of which I think the Braves still won that game. So none of this record is not Jansen's fault. Um, I mean, it's going to depend on that starting pitching, as it's going to need to band together much better because this runs against is it's not good. That's a lot of runs being scored against you, and that differential's pretty hideous too. I mean, it's worse for the team below them, but for Atlanta, the pitching needs to pick it up and needs to help out the offense. I mean, you need to be balanced on both sides. Atlanta really has not been that. It's not a horrible run differential, but pitching is going to be needed, and you need guys like Ian Anderson and Charlie Morton to find their grooves. And then we have the Washington Nationals sitting at 8-16. This team's been actually pretty good scoring runs. They've been putting runs on the board, and they're doing just fine with getting on the board with guys like Juan Soto still on the team. Also, Nelson Cruz, as the National League now has the designated hitter. But they've been fine on offense. But then you see this gross number in runs against, and that's deplorable. I believe that actually is the highest number in all of Major League Baseball right now. So that number needs to come down. I mean that's not that's a high number. That's a ridiculously high number, and it should not be that high. And so, there's one other team that's higher than that. Oh my, there is only one other team that is higher than them, but that's a ridiculously high number of runs, and that number needs to come down. You can't be giving up that many runs in games. That isn't acceptable for anyone. I mean, they gave up 11 runs to the Diamondbacks. That should not happen. And yes, they do not have Steven Strasburg right now, and they obviously no longer have Max Scherzer. And they're also missing Trey Turner, but 128 should not be happening. That's a ridiculous amount of runs being given up. So their pitching needs to get better for this to improve. And then we have the the NL Central, which we start. Wow, I am really off today. We start with the first team, which is the Milwaukee Brewers at 15-8. This team is scary. The Brewers are going to be competing for a play. Won't be just competing for a playoff spot. I think they'll be competing for the NL Series title. I think they'll be in the championship round. This is a very, very good Brewers team. When you have honestly, the thing for the Brewers is going to be just consistent hitting. If their hitting is consistent, this team is going to be able to play with anyone that they come up against, that they play against. They will be competing with literally anyone. Because when you have a top 3 of Corbin Burnes, Brandon Woodruff, and Freddie Peralta as your starting pitching, that's just terrifying. And then you have a duo in your bullpen of Devin Williams and Josh Hader. Yeah, that's terrifying. And then the Brewers in hitting, I mean, their hitting's solid too. You got guys like Andrew McCutchen, I mean, he's towards the end of his career, but he's still a good hitter. Um, I can't even come up with his name. Willie Adames. There's Willie Adames you have as a hitter. The big thing for the Brewers is going to be the success of Christian Yelich. If Yelich can regain his MVP form, which was his 2019 year, 2018 year. I think it was the 20, yeah, 20. If he can regain his 2018 form and 2019, he was good in both years. If he regains that 2018, 2019 form and where he was an MVP winner and also an MVP candidate pretty much in both years, if he regains that form, the Brewers are will be scary. They will be very scary. But already a great start from Milwaukee. Actually, it was a slower start for the Brewers. They had a slower start. They weren't great to start off the year. Their pitchers were actually getting shelled. But they quickly picked up the pace and now have jumped out to a 15-8 record. So, yeah, that's good. And then we have the St. Louis Cardinals at 12-9. This is another team that's looking to make the playoffs. Same run differential, actually, as the Milwaukee Brewers, just with less runs scored and less runs given away. There's a St. Louis team that also has some nice players. You got Nolan Arenado last year, who wasn't necessarily his normal self, but he was still solid. Paul Goldschmidt was awesome last year for the Cardinals. Now they have themselves Albert Pujols back. He's coming back to where it all started. This will probably be his last year. I don't think he plays past this year. You got guys still like Tyler O'Neill for the Cardinals as well. Yadier Molina. This is an old team. You got guys like Albert Pujols, Adam Wainwright, and Yadier Molina all on the same team. That's some old guys right there. And all of them are pretty much on the verge of retirement. I think this is probably Wainwright's last year. It's very much going to be Pujols' last year. And it could very well be Molina's last year. So this is an old veteran Cardinals team. And, we saw how that went for the Giants last year, how good the Giants were with a just all veteran team. So, veteran teams, they played in the league for a very long time, and so they know the ins and outs. This should be a good team. I think they'll be in the mix for a playoff spot. They'll definitely be in the running. I don't think they'll win a World Series or even the National League Championship, but they'll definitely be in the mix for a playoff spot. And also a solid start for the Cardinals. I think this is what everyone expected for St. Louis. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Chicago Cubs, both at 9-13. We'll just start with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the team on top. Somehow, with a minus 41 run differential, are only 9-13. Crazy as that seems. But this is not a good Pirate team. They don't have any good players. They traded away all the good players that they had left. This is a team in rebuild mode. And the record kind of evidences that run differential. Ooh. Yeah, that also very much evidences that. Yeah. And 4-6 in their last 10 games. This is not a good team. They won't be in the running for a playoff spot. Awesome field. Team's not awesome though. They got like one good player and that's it. Pitching's lacking too. That is a lot lacking for the Pirates. This is a team that is a long ways from being able to compete. As is the team below them, the Chicago Cubs at 9-13. Except their run differential is not even close to the Pirates. It's just actually even at 96 all. Cubs aren't the greatest team either. They do have one good hitter left. They still have Wilson Contreras at catcher, unless this team is like in the middle of running for the playoffs by the trade deadline. I don't see Contreras sticking with the Cubs. I see him being traded away in a league that doesn't really have a lot of premium catchers. Now, I'm sure that somebody who doesn't have a premium catcher will want Wilson Contreras. I think he'll be a hot trade deadline commodity. We'll see who wins the Wilson Contreras sweepstakes. I think he's definitely being traded at the deadline, depending on the Cubs' record. If their record's like well below 500, or not making the playoffs, or they're not in really any position to make the playoffs, which they won't be, he's going to get traded somewhere. So it's just a matter of where he goes. And but the rest of the Cubs team, not really that good. I mean, their team just really is not special. They got guys like Patrick Wisdom. But I mean, they're in the middle. They're rebuilding. I mean, this is a rebuild year for the Cubs. They tore it down last season, trade away Javi Baez, who's now a Tiger. Yeah. They also trade away Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Craig Kimbrell. They trade away everyone. And so this is a team that is rebuilding and is not in any position to compete. So they sit at 9-13. And then there's this team. I have no idea what on earth happened to this team, but at 3-19, we have the Cincinnati Reds. 3-19. It's not good, guys. 3-19 for the Cincinnati Reds. They don't have Luis Castillo. He is still on the 10-day IL. They're also missing Mike Minor, but that's not a big-time pitcher. But this Reds team, they lost a couple players last year. They had guys like Tyler Naquin, who was playing well. They let go Nick Castellanos to the Philadelphia Phillies. This team is not necessarily great. And they of course, they brought up Hunter Green, which is their big-time prospect, throwing like 103, but it hasn't been the past couple outings, which is not a good sign. But for the Reds, I mean, this is just not good. I mean, look at this run differential. Look at the run differential. I mean, not only are they, I mean, they're by far the worst team in Major League Baseball as of this moment. Because they literally have scored pretty much the least runs in the MLB and have given up the most in all of the MLB. So, no wonder they're 3-19. I mean, this is a bad team right now. And unless this turns around by the end of this month, I mean, they're already looking in a horrible position to try and make the playoffs. They're already a long shot. But if they can turn it around by the end of next month, and they can close that almost 12-game gap between them and the Brewers, I'm not saying do it all the way, but if they can like shred it in half, might be in a better position. But I mean, this is a horrid start, and this is not a good look for a Reds team. Also, they're on a 6-game losing streak. Also, not ideal. Now we go to the NL West, which has some really good teams. We'll start with the top two, of which are tied for the top spot. In the LA Dodgers, we'll start with them first. The LA Dodgers, 14-7 to start the year. They actually have lost 2 games at home. Ironically enough, we actually beat them in one of them. Shockingly, I don't know how, but we beat the Dodgers in LA. I'm very impressed by the Tigers for doing that, even though they're still 17-14. They're 7-14. But the Dodgers, this is a good team. I mean, we know how good LA is. They've given up by far the least amount of runs in baseball. And they've scored a pretty good amount. I mean, it's not the top, but this is a Dodgers team that is incredibly dangerous. When you have a roster that has, I mean, let's just go over what the Dodgers' ridiculous hitting order and then their pitching staff is. But when you got batters like Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Trea Turner, Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Cody Bellinger, Will Smith, Chris Taylor, and Gavin Lux as your fielders, And then your um uh gal can't come up with the word. Oh, and then your pitchers are Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias as your top three. You also have Trevor Bauer, but who knows if he'll ever come back to baseball. And then you also, not to mention just all those three guys, you also have Craig Kimbrell in your bullpen, still with, he's currently hurt, but still with Blake Treinen, of course, just no biggie. All those guys all on the same team. This team is winning the World Series, in my opinion. I don't see anybody who has the talent that the Dodgers do. And I mean, I said that last year, and the Giants came out of nowhere and pushed them to the limits, and then they fell short and then the Dodgers fell short against the Braves. But this is the year. I mean, they got Freddie Freeman. They still have Trey Turner. This team is loaded. I mean, from top to bottom, this team has everything, and they have the tools to win it. We'll see. And really, all they have left to do now is just carry that through. Team below the Dodgers is one of their most hated rivals, San Diego Padres. This is another team. This is a team last year that was expected to compete for the World Series and nearly was as bad as the Tigers. But the Tigers weren't bad last year. They were 77-83. Padres are only 2 games better, which for a team that had World Series aspirations, that is pathetic. But this Padres team has looked good to start the season. They have looked the part. No Fernando Tatis so far. Has not mattered. Manny Machado has been playing well. Eric Hosmer's had a good start to the season. Luke Voigt's on the 10-day IL, but they don't care. They now have Eric Hosmer playing well. But this is a San Diego team that has a lot of hitters. They have a really good team. They have a nice pitching staff. Mike Clevinger is expected to come off the 10-day IL tomorrow and make his Padres debut and his 2022 debut. But his Padres debut against his old team in the Cleveland Guardians, that should be a really fun outing to see. Mike Clevinger in his first ever start in nearly 2 years. So we'll see how he plays against Cleveland. San Diego also has Blake Snell, who's on the IL. He's supposed to come back during the weekend. That's another really good pitcher. Also have Yu Darvish. They got Chris Paddock. I believe, or no, they don't have Chris Paddock. They traded him away for Tyler Rogers, is it? Or is it Trevor Rogers? No. It's Taylor Rogers. I think Taylor Rogers is the one they traded for. I can't remember which one's which. There's a pair of Rogers twins for the Giants and the Padres. I can't remember which one's on which team. I think it's Taylor Rogers for the Padres and then Tyler Rogers for the Giants. Or I might have that backwards. I don't really know. But the Padres, this team is good. There is no question this team has a ton of talent, and it just needs to put it all together. Their relief pitching is solid as well. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes for the Padres, but so far, right there with the Dodgers. Good start to the season. Kind of what everyone was hoping for. Run differential is only 20. They've given up way more than the Dodgers, but they've also scored a little more. But, again, we'll see how it goes. Good start so far, though. San Francisco Giants, 14-8 to start the year. Only a half a game behind the Padres and the Dodgers. Giants, this is another good team. I mean, last year, no one expected them to even be anything. And then all of a sudden, they just said, yeah, let's go and be the best team in all baseball. This is a good Giants team, though. You got guys like Jock Pederson, Mike Yastrzemski. Buster Posey has retired. He is no longer there. But the Giants went out and made a big splurge in free agency, gained a big-time starting pitcher to replace Kevin Gausman, who left for the Toronto Blue Jays. as they went and got Carlos Rodon, who had a really good year with the White Sox last year when he stayed healthy. And so far for the Giants, he has been incredible. And the Giants also have guys like Brandon Crawford. This is an old team still. This is still the same veteran team they had last year. Of course, no Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant is no longer with the Giants. But this is a good team. I mean, this is a dangerous Giants team. And, I mean, if they can I don't think they'll reach anywhere near the level they were last year. But this is a team that's definitely has a chance to compete with, for a playoff spot. I think that's certainly within the realm of possibility. But good start for the Giants. 14-8, really solid. Good April for San Francisco. And then we have the team below them, which came out of absolutely nowhere. The Colorado Rockies at 13-9. Now you can also see they played a lot of games at home. So you can say, oh, well, they got their gimmicky field to blame for that one. That's why, 9 of their wins all come at home. So that's why they're 13-9. Okay, I'll give you that. Oh, and 2 of their road wins come against the Detroit Tigers. I'll give you that too. But this Rockies team has really still been a bit of a surprise. 13-9 to start the season, very impressive. They had also a weird free agency splurge when they ended up getting Chris Bryant in free agency, which was just completely out of the blue. You figured Chris Bryant would go to a contender, or I don't know, maybe he'd come to the Detroit Tigers. That's what I was hoping. Didn't get him. But really just interesting to see him, to see a guy like Chris Bryant, who probably is looking to win another World Series, probably looking to, go to a contender, especially without being 30 years old. Instead, he signs a 7-year contract with the Rockies. Very interesting. Of course, being in Coors Field gives you a major league boost. But, of course, speaking of Chris Bryant, he's also now on a 10-day IL. So that's a big loss for the Rockies. They still also have Charlie Blackmon. But this Rockies team really just is not that good. But somehow it's 13-9. I don't understand it. But, hey, as long as you're playing well, don't fix what's not broken, right? But the pitching's kind of lacking on this team. And outside like Blackmon, and of course, like I said, Chris Bryant. And then they also have Connor Joe, who's had a really good start to the season. Other than really those guys, this Rockies team just is not really the greatest. And you can see how many runs gets put on them. Not great. They score a decent amount, but that runs against number needs to improve. And then we have the bottom team, which was the worst team in all of Major League Baseball. Seems like it'd be the same thing this year, but their start to the season's not been bad. They're 10-13, but we all thought they'd be the worst team in baseball. And then the Reds just said, "Nah, we're gonna be probably historically worse." But 10-13 for the Diamondbacks, not a good team. They don't really have They don't have any good players. Zach Gallen's been hurt all the time, but he is back now for Arizona. They have Mark Melancon for some reason and Ian Kennedy, who are both solid relievers. Why Arizona signed both of them, I don't know, but I guess they're just plugging holes in the bullpen. But this is still a rebuilding team, so getting 2 guys who would fit better on a competing team doesn't really make sense, but okay. Maybe they're trying to just sign them to trade them out and get big-time prospects. That'd be funny. Anyways, for the Diamondbacks, not good. They're not a great team. Run differential is -19, which is better than the Reds, but they're not the greatest team in the world. Everybody knew that. Everyone knew they weren't going to be very special, and they didn't expect to be very special. They're expecting to rebuild, to rebuild after a couple years and see where they are. Of course, kind of like the Baltimore Orioles being in the best pretty much being in one of the best of it, being atop the or being in the best division probably in all of Major League Baseball, with a giant top three of the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants, and then the interesting gimmick of the Colorado Rockies. It's not an easy place to rebuild. That's for the Orioles, like I said. I mean, I'm comparing them to the Orioles because for them it's about the same thing. You're stuck in the division of the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, Toronto Blue Jays, and Tampa Bay Rays. Those are all playoff teams. So it's difficult to rebuild in such a great division, and you beat a bottom team and just be absolutely terrible. But it's going to be interesting to see how where Arizona goes in this year. Do they do a little better than last season? I would hope so. I mean, the Reds seem pretty much right on pace for that. But Arizona, not a great team. They have a good football team, but Arizona's baseball team, Arizona Diamondbacks, not great. Just not that special. But I mean, 10-13, not a terrible start. It could be better. I mean, you're right about 500, so I mean, you can't really complain with that kind of a start from a team that was like 55 and 107 last year. And that's all I got for this episode. So that's it for the MLB episodes. Now I gotta do the NFL. I still have more to go. Yes, I have a lot. So that's all I got for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and watch all the other ones that are going to be coming out like a million times. There'll be all kinds of new videos to watch. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And until next time, adios, everyone.